Well, at Lloyd High School, they have sports teams from basketball to football to badminton, but they also have a less conventional so-called sports team, and well, that is theater sports. Jeremy Thompson reports.
Oh my God, it's so hot.
We're the LCHS Improv Club Entertainers, so we came up with the acronym 2 years ago of LICE, so we thought it was kind of appropriate. It's funny, it's whatever, so everybody's got LICE.
You can make ridiculous scenes that have nothing to do with anything, but it still makes sense and it's funny.
LICE competes in an improv league out of Edmonton. They travel to different high schools all over Alberta in hopes of making it to nationals in Ottawa. Normally, improv tends to get a little adult-themed, but these student actors try to stay school-appropriate.
We try very hard to keep the clever jokes going, but we are teenagers, and the first thing that comes to mind is usually what comes out.
Daddy needs to see his face, too.
I want to smile. Show me some teeth.
Tyler Wolf has been doing improv for 3 years and has developed some interesting talent.
You talk like this, and it may seem strange, but in your brain, it's a little out of range. You keep on talking and do a whole scene, and suddenly it seems quite mean because you can't end a sentence in that way, so you keep on rhyming like this all day.
It's something different, and it's super hilarious, and it's an entertaining night.
If you're into improv, come see a show. If not, come anyways, just give it a go. It's fun and it's random, come support the team. It's a family environment, at least they try to keep it clean. So come, bring a friend, they could use the views. From Lloyd High School, Jeremy Thompson, Newcap News.
Well, it looks like we are in for some nice weather this weekend. If you are looking for something to do, Heather Klages has some ideas in this week's edition of What's Happening.
It's the spookiest night of the year. It's Halloween, and we are at the best dressed house for Halloween in all of Lloydminster, Yvonne Claroux's famous Halloween house. You'll notice we came here before it got dark because I'm going to be perfectly honest, some of the things in the yard, they kind of scare me. So I thought we'd come during daylight. I know it can get a little bit spooky, but if you're out trick-or-treating tonight, make sure you stop by and see the house because not only has he done an incredible job once again this year, but he's also raising money to help out a great cause too. If you've even stopped by to see the house before, come by again, make your donation. All the funds this year are going to the Lloydminster Rescue Squad. Load up on candy tonight, or you know what, Mom and Dad, if the kids aren't going to share any of that Halloween candy, well, tomorrow night we've got the solution for you, dessert night in Marway. It's going to be held at St. Andrew's Church, and not only will there be delicious desserts, also a special presentation from Phil Calloway. He's a best-selling author, and he's all about bringing humor back into your life. A bit of a motivational speaker, but definitely a funny guy. If you want to head out tomorrow night, you will be able to get tickets at the door. They're only $30. You just never know who you're going to run to here at the Halloween house. Like, look, we found Paula Abdul. Okay, maybe not. But Paula Abdul, she had big hits in the 80s, and you know what we want you to win this weekend? It's the top hits of the 80s. There's 2 CDs in here, and if you want a copy, it's really easy. All you have to do is email your name and daytime phone number to tvcontest@newcap.ca. We want to say thanks to John at Universal Music Canada for setting us up with the music. If you find yourself just sitting around on Sunday evening, don't feel like cooking, well, you don't have to. Fall supper season continues. You can head to Kit Scotty on Sunday afternoon starting at 4:30 to enjoy a delicious meal. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, I hope you have a great one. I'm Heather Klages, and that's what's happening.
Earlier this year in March, the Canadian military ended its 12-year mission in Afghanistan. And while our troops may not be engaging in a ground assault anytime soon, the men and women in uniform are always on guard. The Canadian Armed Forces employ the Train As You Fight motto to prepare them for any scenario. In our final installment of our exclusive look at Exercise Belligerent Grizzly, we head to the actual mock attack as soldiers look to liberate a town taken over by the enemy.
War is not pretty, but through this battlefield there is beauty and a calm before the storm. We are now on the doorstep of enemy territory. Insurgents have taken over this town. It's up to the Canadian Armed Forces to take it back. But the enemy won't go down without a fight.
Once they arrive, we'll engage them as best we can and hopefully give them some good training.
Lieutenant Tyler Yee has been trained as an enemy fighter for the last year and a half. Sounds odd, but there is reason for it.
It's much more realistic, and that's part of the Army's philosophy is train as you fight. So if you can actually have people out doing the bad guy role, it really helps the commanders and stuff, practice their command skills against a living, thinking enemy.
The soldiers are all equipped with special weapons effects simulation gear. Lieutenant Yee explains how it works.
On the vest is a modified tack vest that's similar to what normal Canadian soldiers wear. You'll see on here that there's a whole bunch of small black sensors. Those are attached to the small arms transmitter that's attached to the end of every rifle. And basically, when you fire a round in your rifle, it discharges a laser out, and if it gets picked up by a vest, you'll be notified by your vest whether or not you've been hit or killed, or if you have a near-miss situation, something like that.
The enemy is staked out in almost every corner, waiting for the Canadian Armed Forces to make the first move.
So it's a bit of a game. So the enemy is trying to divert them into areas that they want them to come at them from, which they would call a killing zone, where they have all their weapons ready to take them out. And our infantry want to come in and overcome that.
And off in the distance, in the thick brush, soldiers prepare to go on the offensive. Here we're about to see our first casualties. A suicide bomber emerges from the building. These soldiers have paid for freedom with their lives, but the attack must go on. The infantry moves in while taking their enemies out. Among the chaos, a lone rebel emerges. Arms in the air, he's surrendering.
Get out there! Sam, get on your knees!
The battle is a long one, stretching well over a couple of hours. Some of the soldiers make it out unscathed, others are nursing injuries, and will some pay the ultimate price.
For me, it's not essentially I was more worried about my life more than the men around to my left and right and front. Honestly, I'd prefer their lives over mine, so if I'm willing to give up my life just so they could accomplish the mission, then it was all worth it.
Specialist Jonathan Sadhu is an American soldier who has been on the front lines before.
Being actually deployed in Afghanistan, it's very, very similar to a lot of the combat engagements we have actually been through ourselves, and they've made it as close to realistic as possible.
This field serves as an impromptu hospital. Medics scramble from one injury to the other.
Yeah, we've got some great troops that provided security for us, so at no time did we have to worry about that sort of stuff. They literally laid down their lives to protect us, so we try to return the favor and take care of them back at the CCP.
Now that the war is over, the troops can relax and take a breather. But it's not long before they go over the exercise to see what went right and what went wrong. Belligerent Grizzly is now in the books. It's quite eye-opening to see what exactly our Canadian troops go through when they put their lives on the line in the name of freedom.
And the Canadian Armed Forces are always looking for more men and women to join their team. For more information or to talk to a recruiter, head to forces.ca or call 1-800-856-8488. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.
Happy Halloween.
Good night.
Tonight, bringing closure. After fatally shooting 3 Mounties, Justin Bourque has been handed down the harshest sentence in Canadian history. Plus, a cause for concern.
I will come in that way, I will not go out that way because it's just a confusion of so much traffic, so I use the west entrance and exit.
Changes may be coming soon to a busy intersection on Highway 16 near Kitscoty. And a show of solidarity. A local organization will be holding a rally to show support for our troops this Sunday.
In sports, the witching hour. On a hot streak, the Bobcats hope to keep the winning going in their Halloween howler tonight.
This is Newcap News with Bart Pediasic.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. We begin tonight with Justin Bourque, who has been sentenced for fatally shooting 3 Mounties in New Brunswick. He'll spend 75 years in prison before becoming eligible to apply for parole. It's the harshest sentence given in Canada in the last 50 years. Bourque also wounded 2 others during the rampage in a Moncton suburb on June 4.